Recently, we took a look at the Mate 50 Pro, which is pretty much within the upper echelon of mobile experience for Huawei. Today, we're looking at the little guy for a change of pace, specifically the Huawei MatePad SE. A sub 300 Singapore dollar tablet that has a great display and speakers for all your media consumption needs. The MatePad SE sports a classic tablet design made of aluminum alloy. It's thin, 7.85mm exactly, and comfortable to hold, weighing just 440 grams. The volume and power button are located together at the top left of the tablet if you're holding it in a landscape position. Oddly enough, the button placement with the power button on the inside initially confused us coming from the iPad, but we got used to it after a while, so no major issues there. It is also quite a fingerprint magnet, so better get a microfiber cloth ready. With a 10.4-inch Full HD Plus 2000 by 1200 pixel IPS LCD display, even though it doesn't have all that fancy bells and whistles like 120Hz refresh rate or OLED, it's still a pretty good display for entertainment with adequate vibrancy and contrast, though it still falls shy of higher-end offerings. Where it makes up for it is actually in the sound department with dual stereo firing speakers, which goes without saying for a tablet targeted at entertainment. The sound is boomy and detailed, by budget standards at least, which is great for an immersive cinematic experience. Just don't compare it to the iPad and you'll be just fine. Otherwise, if you're the kind that prefers a more private listening experience, there's a 3.5mm jack available for you as well, or Bluetooth, whichever you prefer. Usually, this is where we talk about Geekbench numbers, but due to some odd reason, we weren't able to sideload Geekbench on our tablet for our usual test, so let's talk about the overall experience instead. Harmony OS is generally fine for the most part, with occasional stutters here and there, along with apps crashing if you run too many in the background. Then again, all of these issues are to be expected of a budget tablet, but there are some specific kinks we feel Huawei could do better ironing out to make the Harmony OS experience better for its users. For starters, there are a lot of app recommendations. If you watched our Mate Access 2 review a while back, we also encountered the same issue where app recommendations are displayed in folders on the home screen. Disabling each folder and deleting them will take up a bulk of your setup time, which we do not like. The lack of native support for Google services is also a factor to consider. If you aren't tech savvy, you probably won't be able to fiddle your way around third-party solutions like Lighthouse and G-Space to get Google apps running properly. All the negative points aside, if an app you're looking for isn't available on App Gallery, you can still opt to sideload it, and Huawei's pedal search engine does streamline the process to a certain extent by showing you APK results, which will redirect you to a browser to download and install. But for the less technically inclined, the best way we recommend doing it is by downloading APK Pure and having it serve as your one-stop hub for all your APK downloads. Not only can you search for an APK directly, you can also batch install and update your installed APK all within a single app. Entertainment-wise, through that method, you can install Netflix and Disney+, but Huawei Video also has a variety of Korean and Chinese dramas, which you may or may not appreciate, but your parents definitely will. Powered by the year-old mid-range Snapdragon 680, you can't expect much from its 3D Mark numbers. However, you can at least expect a manageable gaming experience if you play your games at its lowest setting. Diablo Immortals is probably one of the most graphically intensive games you can find right now, aside from Genshin, and at its lowest setting, you can play it for a bit before it starts to get really toasty and stuttery. The MatePad SE does have a 5MP f2.2 main, which can shoot up to 1080p at 30 frames per second, along with a 2MP f2.4 front camera. Visual quality is acceptable for video calls and a quick snap if you happen to be holding onto the MatePad and your phone is in your bag somewhere far away. But again, it is a budget offering, so don't expect much, and please don't take photos with your tablet in public. Lastly, with a 5100mAh battery, you can get about a day or two's worth of interval media consumption before having to charge it. Do note that you do not have any form of fast charging here, so don't expect to have it juiced up in a pinch. The Huawei MatePad SE is going at just 298 Singapore dollars or 999 ringgit for the 128 gigs storage version. These prices are for the Wi-Fi version, and depending on where you buy from, there will also be 64 gigs and 4 gig configurations available. Well, at such a low asking price, it is a bang for your buck if you are already familiar with the Huawei ecosystem, and even if you aren't, technically inclined individuals will still be able to draw value out of this tablet through third-party installations of Google services and apps. For those of you who aren't in either camp, it is still a lovely gift option for your parents or relatives if they happen to consume a lot of content that's on Huawei Video, Netflix, Disney Plus, or even View. You just gotta walk them through the setup and installation first.